What's up, Varla fans? Shawnyrick here with another tips and tricks video. And if you're a first-time rider to Varla and just happened to buy the new Varla Eagle 1 Pro, as a first-time rider, I want to show you what to do first and then how to ride it second. And so with that said, let's get started. Alright, so of course what you want to do first is always look at your owner's manual. Took some pictures of the owner's manual just to discuss some things of what you're going to want to specifically look at first for sure before you ever start riding your scooter for the first time. Alright, so in the forward part of the manual, number 1 is wear flat shoes. Please do not wear flip-flops or sandals while riding. This is super important. Your feet can slip off, they can hit the ground, you can scrape up your toes and your feet pretty bad. So yeah, please wear flat shoes, super important. Number 2, please wear a helmet during the riding as well as other protective equipment such as elbow and knee protectors and padded gloves, which will allow a firmer grip on the handlebars. All this is true. At first we get on these things, we don't want to ride them without protective gear, but once you have an incident or two, you definitely wear protective equipment. So please make sure you have a helmet, proper padding around your body when you ride, and definitely want to have gloves. Number 3, please look ahead while riding. This is super important until you really get used to your scooter. The moment you turn your head to the left or to the right, your scooter is going to go where your head goes. You're going to get either into the other lane accidentally, or if you're off into a curb, it's not going to be any good and you may not be able to recover from that. So yes, please keep your head forward and straight at all times. Number 4, make sure you're familiar with the scooter's functions. Super important when you're on the road. Just make sure before you go out there and start really riding it in the streets and stuff that you definitely know how the scooter functions, what everything does, so that way 1, you don't damage the scooter, and 2, you don't do something accidentally to make yourself get in an accident or crash. Number 5, do not play with your phone while riding. Don't be riding your scooter one-handed while you're on your phone. You will instantly crash, guaranteed. Number 6, do not ride your scooter in the heavy rain or wet conditions, as this could damage the battery and it will not be covered by the warranty for water damage. If water gets down in your deck and it does damage the battery, there is a little water marker on the battery, and if it changes color, that means that water got in there, and that's what they mean by the warranty not being covered. There is a way to waterproof your scooters so you can actually ride them better in the rain, but if you have not waterproofed your scooters, do not attempt it. Number 7, do not violently hit the deck and other parts deliberately, as this could damage the battery and frame and it will not be covered by the warranty. So y'all got to remember that this is a lithium battery, so we don't want to be slamming the deck, hitting the deck. You know, these things do pop, explode, and leak. It can cause all kinds of self-harm if you're doing something that you shouldn't be. So just be aware. Under your feet is a lot of power when you're riding these things. Take care of your scooter. You're going to get a lot of life out of it if you do. Number 8, if you ride in the dark, please wear visible and reflective clothing. I ride in the dark a lot on the highway and other places like that with sometimes a lot of traffic. Super important to make sure that you're seen. A lot of drivers that will pass you up, that will be rude to you, that will get close to you, and you definitely want to be seen. Number 9, do not modify the electric scooter at will. People change out the hand grip, lengthen the handlebars, you can do all those kind of modifications, but when it comes to the internal parts, I would just leave those alone. Enjoy the scooter that you have. Don't be swapping things out unless you really know what you're doing. Alright, moving on to the safety warnings. I don't want to spend too much time on this page, but there is some important ones to highlight. The first one here is do not exceed the weight limit of 330 pounds. Rider weight does not necessarily mean a person's size is appropriate to fit or maintain control of the scooter. I'm a pretty big dude. I would say that, yeah, I always pay attention if I have a backpack on, and then I add that weight of the backpack to make sure that I am never maxing at 330 pounds. It's just really important because then if you max at 330 pounds, you're putting a lot of strain on the battery, especially if you have hills you're going up and down and everything else. And it's just something that you want to watch out for. Don't load your scooter up heavy with extra weight either, or tow something behind it with extra weight that will max the 330 pound limit. If you do, you're just going to wear your battery out faster. You're going to have a lot of problems. So always try to maintain it to stay under 330 pounds. All right, then the next one is check and maintain scooter conditions before use. Check to confirm that covers and guards are in place and is in serviceable condition. I would say this is definitely a healthy thing to do. I know that I always check my tire pressure. I make sure that my LCD screen is working, or the brakes are not scraping, that they engage before I ride, because these scooters are known to have a few bolts come off in transit, especially if you haven't tightened them down from when you got them from the manufacturer. So just always good to double check everything's working on your scooter before you ride. Alright, and so the other thing is don't switch single dual mode during riding. On all the scooters you have the option to just use the rear wheel to have it propel you forward, or both wheels, front and back. For the heavier riders you should always use two wheels, but you never engage them while you're riding. Don't shut one off and turn the other one on. Super bad and can cause all kinds of issues, and it would not be covered under warranty, which is why they state it in the manual. When riding in gear 2 and above, you need to brake the front and rear brakes together. This is a super important thing to do, definitely for safety. I've definitely have tried only using one brake before, either the front brakes to slow me down, especially when I'm like going downhill, or on a straightaway going at like 40-45 miles an hour, and it definitely does not slow you down like you need to. So definitely all the time, always engage both brakes. There's never a reason not to, and for your safety it's just going to be easier, better, and it's going to keep you safer. Alright, I'm moving on to safety warnings page. Number 1 and number 4 we've already gone over previously on the other two pages. So I really wanted to touch basis on number 2, 3, 5, and 6. And number 2 says charge the battery with the original charger, and someone needs to be nearby to avoid accidents when charging. That part there is a little silly, but definitely the charge the battery with the original charger is super important. To make sure that you're charging the battery at the right voltage. And also, what is a good idea to always remember, plug the charger into an outlet first and then into your scooter to charge. And moving on to number 3, do not ride on bumpy and slippery roads such as dirt road, gravel road, snow piled, and gathered water roads. Now, mind you, if you're on safe trails and stuff, those are actually okay to ride on. The Eagle 1 and the Eagle 1 Pro do just fine with those. But I think basically what they're trying to say here is bumpy roads, slippery roads, loose dirt, I would say, and slippery gravel roads can be totally dangerous. I've had some times where I've gone off to the edges of the road and almost gone completely in ditches and stuff from just loose gravel and everything. So it is super important to just be safe and know your terrain before you ride. Number 5, dangerous actions are prohibited while riding. You know, like going to a skateboard park and like flipping your scooter around and stuff like that. Everyone's paying between $1,100 to $2,200 for these scooters. And personally, I really like to take care of my scooters and just know the value of them. This is like a super good one. Use your scooter for like commuting and, you know, riding and chilling and grooving, and you're gonna have a way better experience than trying to do tricks and stuff with it and everything else, and busting your motors or busting shocks and brakes and rotors and all that stuff. And number 6 is the last one, and this one is do not ride with one hand. So that basically means unless you have a death wish, don't do it. Okay, moving on to the next page, the product specifications. I mean, I would just look this over and just make sure that you know the specs to your scooter. Just super important to make sure you know the max amount of angle it can handle on hills and how much power it has, your battery, all that good stuff. Good to go over those things and just to know your scooter in and out that way. And the electric scooter parts page, it lists everything for you to know about what everything is. Obviously you want to know what everything is called, so that way when it comes to replacing parts, you know what to tell the vendors, what to search for on Amazon, and even when you're talking to Varla. Moving on to the dashboard display LCD screen, they give you a sketch here of what everything is on there ahead of time. The only thing that they're having issues with, for whatever reason, some of the LCD screens right now are not coming with wattage indicators, and some of them are talking to Varla about it, and they're working with their tech guys in order to fix the issue to make sure that all LCD screens moving forward have a wattage indicator. But as long as you have a battery indicator, light indicator, cruise control indicator, dual motor indicator, speed indicator, and how far you traveled, then you're good to go. General operations and riding methods. When the power is on, it will show pass 1, the top speed is 15 miles per hour. Press the plus button, it will show pass 2, the top speed is 25 miles per hour. Press the plus button twice, it will show pass 3, the top speed is 45 miles an hour. This is basically your gears for those that don't understand pass. So you have pretty much gear 1, gear 2, and gear 3, but since there's no gears on an electric scooter, they call it the pass. It just tells the motors to not go a certain speed depending on which pass gear you're in. Alright, now moving on to what I think is the coolest feature that they've done to the Eagle One Pro, which does come with NFC card chip. You press and hold the power button for 3 seconds to turn on the LCD screen, then you will see the card logo on the screen. Then number 2, place Varla's NFC card at the designated location on the dashboard and the scooter will be successfully unlocked. This is a great feature as they didn't have this on the Pegasus. The Pegasus one, you just turn the power button on and then that would be it. Pretty much anybody could take your scooter. There was really nothing to disable it. At least with this scooter, you're able to use the NFC card chip to unlock it. You can also program it with an Android because the Android has the NFC feature on it. Don't know how to use that yet. Maybe if I figure out one of these times, I'll do a video on it for sure. I just keep using the card as I just think that's a much easier and a less hassle-free way to go. What you need to do first before you ride it, so make sure you're checking your screws here on your hubs. Make sure everything is tight. Always make sure that you have your scooter go forward a little bit, squeeze the brakes, go back a little bit, squeeze the brakes. Make sure that when you move it forward or backwards, it's not going to move for a safety check. What I always use too, I have an alarm system for when I'm out in public. I can set the alarm so the scooter doesn't get stolen. I have my front cam, I have my rear cam, I have my my padded jacket, my padded pants, and I also have a signal backpack which tells everybody which way I'm going, left or right. It's always good to make sure that you have all this stuff on your scooter before you ride it for those that are new. And then of course I have my rear view mirrors, right and left. These come in handy so you don't have to twist your head back, because sometimes where your head goes, your body's gonna go and you're gonna go off in a ditch and stuff. So always make sure you guys got some rear view mirrors. Definitely gonna help you ride, especially when you're new to the scooters, and you're gonna have a much safer trip. Also having a cam in the front and the back allows you to get rear footage of the vehicles behind you, or in case someone does something dangerous behind you, you got it on film, so it's an insurance policy for yourself. And it's pretty much the same thing for the front camera as well. All right, so what you have, all your gear checked, everything's working. Got my helmet, got my riding gloves, and now we're ready to ride. What you're gonna do first, if this is the first time you've ever gotten on one of these, is you're gonna push the power button here. You're gonna hold it down. Then when you hold it down, you're gonna get that little indicator flashing, and then you hold up your card to the indicator, and as you can see, the screen turns on. I've already went on a ride, so that's why it says 42%, but your display will turn on, and that means that your scooter's on and is ready to operate. So what I suggest for first-time riders, and this is how I trained my daughter to ride her scooter, is I would keep the gear or the pass in one, because that allows your scooter to stay only at 15 miles an hour. So that way it's not starting off too fast, and you can get a little squirrely with these scooters at first when you first start riding them, if it's in like the third gear and set for like 40 miles an hour. So never ever do that when first riding these. So set it to pass 1, then what you want to do is you want to take it off of dual motor mode. So as you can see up there, right there, that means that both of your hub motors are engaged. That means that you'll have more power underneath your feet when you get started. So first time rider, don't have dual motors engaged for your very first time. So let's turn that off. So we're going to go ahead and hold the plus button up once, and then as you can see, when you hold it down, it turns dual motors off. So now the rear wheel is the only one that is going to operate. The front wheel will then be free spinning. So that way, when you push the throttle for the first time, you're not going crazy and scooter's getting away from you. I will show you now how you would want to get on this. It is really simple. It's not as hard as you might think. You basically get on and you pretty much push the power button on and you go. But what I want to show you is when you're doing this, but one foot here, your right foot there, and then your back foot, you're going to want your back foot about right there. The left foot behind you, the right foot in front of you about right here when you're riding. If you have that kind of a stance, then you're going to have more stability on the scooter. And I'll show you that in the videos that I took of me riding. So here you can see where my right foot is while riding. And then here is where my left foot is while riding. This is the position that you're going to want both of your feet in order to have most stability while enjoying time on your scooter. Also, before you get going, to know that you don't want to be gripping the steering wheel bars really tight. When you do that, you're going to have a heck of a time, and you're going to be doing this and trying to fight it because you're muscling it with your arms and stuff, even if you have both hands held onto it. So it's always good, just like when you're driving a car, like the car kind of drives itself, to just relax your hands, relax your fingers, keep your elbows nice and loose and bent, and before you get started, and then you want to go ahead and go forward. And I'll show you now what that looks like. Okay, so I slowed this part down because I just wanted you to see how stable it is just to be standing on the scooter and just going forward on it. And this is again just in pass one. And here you can see how smooth it is to stop, real easy. You just step off, then you can get back on it again. And then when it comes to braking your scooter, you want to relax your knees, stick your butt out a little bit, and then pull back on the handlebars lightly. That will actually help your stance when you stop, so that way the scooter doesn't get away from you and you have more control over it when braking. And then the last thing you're going to want to do is just take your scooter around like in your driveway and then just turn with it. Make sure you get used to turning really well before you engage the gears like the pass 2 and pass 3 and want to go faster. Just keep turning the scooter, get used to balancing and riding it before you hit the street and really take it for a ride. And then of course, once you're fully comfortable with operating your scooter and you've had enough practice, then hit the road and have some fun. I really hope you liked this video and the breakdown of the manual for the Varla Eagle 1 Pro. I just kind of wanted to do this because I wish that somebody had something out for me when I first started the ride. When you're participating in the groups and stuff and you just look at all the questions that everybody has, I just felt people would probably watch a video more on how to ride one of these and a video on going through the instruction manual more than they would actually reading it. Which is why I think so many people do ask questions in the first place, is because they don't read their manual. Hope you all enjoyed it. Please like, follow, share, all that good stuff. And this is Shawnyrick signing off for now.